Hi, and welcome back to FPL First, giving you the latest news, reviews, and social views on everything EPL and FPL. In this episode, we will take a look at the EPL Round 6 preview, and I also talk about who should be your captain pick if you have them in your team. So that is all coming up. So if you are new here, this channel provides FPL previews, reviews and tips on informed players. I also talk a lot about the EPL, and I will be releasing some documentaries on kind of players from the EPL soon. If this interests you, why not consider subscribing to stay up to date with all the new content being released on a regular basis. And obviously, if this is not your first time, thanks so much for coming back to another episode of FPL First. Alright, so let's move on to this week's action, and the first game sees a promoted side Fulham looking to take on a very informed side Watford, who only had their first loss against Man United last week. It'd be interesting to see if Mitrovic, for example, can still play well this week. He's only second to Aguero in the points list of the FPL, so I'd be interested to see him. Also, players like Holebas and Pereira, who have been really key players to Watford's season so far. It'd be interesting to see if they can get their form back on track this week. Next, we see Man City, we see Man United, Liverpool and Spurs all have fairly easy games. They're games that you expect them to win, so I don't think that there's going to be much deviation from them winning. Bournemouth go away to Burnley, who obviously have had a terrible season so far, so I expect that Bournemouth will go there and give them a really good game, and I think that Bournemouth will probably keep up their good form, and I think you should look at players like Wilson, Fraser, who was the second highest scorer last week to Hazard. These kind of players could be really useful for Bournemouth in the near future. They have a quite easy fixture list coming, so definitely be a good thing to watch out for them. Leicester will obviously be looking to try and get a win back in the league against should be an easy opponent against Huddersfield at home. Vardy is obviously over his suspension now, but they are without their captain Morgan, who got sent off in the last game. So it could be, I'm not really too sure their defence will be, but I mean, it should be an easy win for Leicester in the end. And so let's move on to Sunday, and probably the biggest game of the weekend. We'll see West Ham against Chelsea. Now, if it was a couple of weeks ago, I wouldn't have said that West Ham they would have had any chance in this game because they were terrible. They didn't even get a win till last week, but they went away to Everton, which, by the way, is not an easy place to go, and they got a really good result. It seems like Pellegrini kind of changed his tactics, and he found this midfield free where it kind of all made sense. They played really well. They dominated kind of Everton in the midfield, and they managed to get a load of counter attacks and win the game because of that. So it'll be interesting to see if Arnautovic and Yarmolenko are able to maintain that form, but I think that Chelsea on the day will have too much strength for them, and I think they'll probably just about win and probably make it 6 wins out of 6. And then Arsenal against Everton. Now, obviously, if you didn't see Arsenal in the Europa League yesterday, they looked good going forward, but they still had these problems at the back. They conceded 2 goals against a team which they shouldn't be conceding any goals to because the quality difference was just huge. So I think this game is going to be a high-scoring game, and I think that it's going to be a matter of who can score the most goals. Everton away from home aren't looking as good as when they're at home, despite their loss against West Ham last week. But apart from that, they've done quite well at home. But anyway, Arsenal seem to be doing well at home. They seem to be getting used to Emery's tactics, and with Aubameyang, Lacazette definitely probably going to start, especially because Aubameyang got taken off early yesterday. Also, it looks like Torreira probably is going to start this game because he also got taken off early against Vorska, I think the name is, from Ukraine. So yeah, definitely going to be an interesting game, and I think that Arsenal should get the win. So moving on to my pick of the round 6, EPL round 6 that is, and it's the game of West Ham against Chelsea. Now, I don't think that West Ham are going to have much of a chance in this game because at the end of the day, I think Chelsea are just going to outclass them. They have the better players. Hazard is on fire, but I think they're not going to be as easy as most people think because, like I said, they have kind of turned things around with that 1 win last game. They looked really impressive against Everton. Before that, they obviously had 4 losses. Their record against Chelsea is not that terrible. Like, if you look on the screen now, they've won 1 out of the last 5, and they've drawn 2. So, you know, I wouldn't write them off completely because they are at home. But I think that Chelsea will probably just pip this game, but I don't think it's going to be as easy as most people think. Now, obviously, the key man for West Ham is Arnautovic. He's their main player up top, and you know, if he has a good game, then he's always got a chance of scoring a goal. And I think that Chelsea's defence, they don't look as good as they have in previous seasons, so there is an opportunity with Arnautovic, and it'll be interesting to see if Yarmolenko steps up his form this week. You know, they'll have a lot harder opposition in this Chelsea, so it'll be interesting to see those two. And then the main guy of the time, you know, the guy that is getting all the talk, getting all the pundits kind of interested is Hazard. He's done really well in the last 2 game weeks. He, obviously a hat-trick last week. He was been absolutely on fire. And you know, I think a lot of people in FPL have taken out Salah for Hazard, so it'll be interesting to see if he can maintain his form. He's obviously going to be pivotal for them going forward, and he will obviously be in the thick of most of the action, so it'll be interesting to see how Hazard does in this game. Anyway, I've got high hopes for him, especially as I've got him in my team. Alright, so now moving on to my captain picks for this week, and we'll start with a player that's kind of gone under the radar this season, and that's Romelu Lukaku. You know, in his last 4 starts for Man United, he's managed to score 4 goals, and that's a pretty good return for any striker. And, you know, a game at home against Wolves, you probably would think that he's going to be on the score sheet, or he's going to be in the thick of the action. So, you know, it won't be the easiest of games, that's for sure, but, you know, you would expect the Man United are going to probably maintain this good form that they've found recently. You know, I think that Pogba's kind of taken a lot of the headlines recently. He's been excellent in the last 2 games, but I definitely think that if you have Lukaku in your team and you don't have Aguero or you don't have like Mane, then he should definitely be an option for your captain, because I think that it could be another good week for Man United. So my second choice, if you have him in your team, then he should probably be your captain if you don't have any of the other options that I've got, and that's going to be Mane. You know, he's been the main man for Liverpool so far this season in terms of FPL points. And with a home fixture against Southampton, you expect the Liverpool are going to score many goals, or at least they're going to get a lot of points. And, you know, I think that, you know, Mane is definitely going to be there or thereabout. You know, if he doesn't score a goal, he'll get an assist or whatever. So Mane should obviously be a good choice for captain. But my third choice, if you have him in your team still and you've kept the faith, then Salah should be a good option for your captain, because, you know, he hasn't performed this well this season in terms of FPL points, but, you know, actually I think he's been playing really well in the EPL. He's been pivotal for the team. He creates a lot of chances for Mane and Firmino up front, and, you know, like, yeah, he hasn't got the points for FPL, but it doesn't mean he's not playing well. If you look at some of his underlying stats as well, he's getting into the box a lot. He's getting a lot of shots on target. He's, you know, penetrating the defenses a lot. So I wouldn't necessarily say that Salah is a player that you know, I don't understand why everyone's getting rid of him so soon. I know he's expensive, and I know he hasn't returned the kind of points that he did last season, but all it takes is one game for him to just switch on, and, you know, it's a hat-trick. So I think, yeah, there's an option. There's definitely a call for Salah being your captain. So my next pick, and this is going to be a big problem for me because I've had to make this decision, but is Hazard. He's yet to actually had a game without scoring more than just the 2 points from the minutes played. And, you know, the first 2 games of the season, he only came as a substitute. And, you know, in the last 2 games, he's created a lot of points, and he's been pivotal for Chelsea. He's scored goals. He's been involved in assists. He's literally in the middle of everything that's good with Chelsea recently. So, you know, considering he's only owned by 28% of the FPL managers, it means that if you put him as captain and he gets another, like, 2 goals this week, then you're going to be doing really well against your friends. You're going to be going up the ranks, that's for sure. And, you know, like, yeah, 28% is high, but compared to, like, players like Aguero or Salah, where they've, you know, there's much higher, then having him as in your team, if you have him, and as captain, could be a really beneficial thing, especially considering they're playing West Ham, who are leaking goals like crazy in the last sort of 5 games. Having said that, I do think this will be a harder test for Chelsea, so it'll be you know, interesting to see. And because of that reason, and I think that, you know, West Ham have got a bit of a revived confidence, they're at home, I think that Hazard is a good option, but actually I'm going to be going with my captain, which is going to be Sergio Aguero. Now, before you say to me, oh, he's injured on the FPL, yes, he does say that he's a doubt to play, but consider that he did play in the Champions League on Wednesday, I think it was, and you know he came on and he changed the game when he came on against Marseille, I think it was, or Lyon, whoever it was, and you know. He in the last game, for example, he was taken off after 50 minutes, and yet he still managed to get 2 assists, and he was unlucky not to score, get on the score sheet that game. Even though he is listed as a doubt for the next game against Cardiff, I think that he will play because I don't think it's a serious injury. He did play in the Champions League during the week. So, considering Cardiff conceded 4 goals against Chelsea last week, I believe that they have some flaws in their defence, and I think that a player like Sergio Aguero will definitely take full advantage of that. So, for that reason, I'm going to take a massive gamble because I'm not sure if he'll play or not, but I'm pretty sure he will, especially considering Jesus was pretty poor during the week. My captain is going to be Sergio Aguero. Let me know in the comments below who you are thinking about having as your captain. If you don't agree with me, then let me know who you're going to go with. And yeah, it'd be interesting to see. Maybe I'll respond if I can in the near future, and we can see if there's any good reasons for why you think that I'm wrong, or maybe I'll see your point of view if you're right. So yeah, drop a comment down below and let me know who you're going to pick as your captain. All right, moving on to my player watch for the week, and the first player I'm going to talk about is Mitrovic, and this is because he is still currently second only behind Aguero in terms of scoring points as a striker. So that makes him the second most productive forward in the FPL currently with 31 points. Considering his price is much cheaper at 6.8 million, and the fact that he's had 20 shots so far this season, which is only bettered by Aguero who has 25, the Serbian international is looking on great form, a home fixture this time around. I think it's looking good for Mitrovic, so therefore I've put him as one of my players to watch. Another player who I've previously mentioned as well, because I said that he could be a captain, is Lukaku. He's kind of gone under the radar, like I said, and he's scored 4 and 4, which is a good return for a striker. There's nothing wrong with that. He's also now the joint top goal scorer among forwards in the EPL this season, and I think that the problem has been for Man United is his quality of service, and with Pogba playing well recently, and it seems like Mourinho is playing a bit more of an attacking style of football, I think that he's going to get a lot more service soon. So I do think that Lukaku could be a very good option in your team, and he is expensive, I know that, but considering that he's going to be guaranteed playing time at Man United, and hopefully he's going to get a lot more service, he could have a good return soon. So he's definitely a player to consider. The other 3 players on the list is Maddison, who's been playing well for Leicester and is, seems to be nailed on to be playing every game. So he is a good option. He got 8 points in the last game week and has overall 26 points, which is very good for a player that's only worth 6.6 million. So definitely consider looking at him. He should be maybe a player, if you're going to do a wild card soon, maybe a good cheap midfielder. The next player is Tompkins. He only selected by 4.2% of the FPL players. He hasn't got an overall good amount of points so far, but he had a good game week 5, and Crystal Palace have some easy games coming up, so he could be a good player to think about. And then the last player is Gudmundsson, and the reason I've put him in here is because he was recommended on the FM Scout on the website, but I don't really understand why. But anyway, at 5.9 million, maybe he'll have a good game week, but I doubt that because Burnley are looking very bad and it doesn't look like they're going to change that anytime soon. So anyway, look out for him because he is a very cheap option in terms of midfielders, so he could be good in the future. So looking at this week's transfers in, I would say that every single player is pretty self-explanatory as to why they're there. Hazard's on form. He's the star player as it stands in the FPL. Fraser, again, was only 2 points behind Hazard in the last game week, so that is obviously why he's in this list. And a lot of people are putting faith in the 5.7 million rated midfielder. Lucas Moura is, still getting a good game time at Tottenham and is looking sharp as ever. He's, getting a good point return, so that's probably why a lot of people put him in the team. Mitrovic, I've just talked about a lot, and then Lukaku as well, I've just talked about a lot. So that's obviously why this is the transfers in for this week. Now, interestingly, if we look at the transfers out for the week, Salah is number 1. So it's absolutely clear that a lot of FPL managers are now currently losing faith in Mohamed Salah. And considering his price of 13 million and a form of only 4, you know, I can kind of understand the reason that people are taking him out. But the one thing I don't understand is that Liverpool have got Southampton at home this weekend. That, in my eyes, is an obvious game which you expect them to get a lot of goals, get a lot of points. So I don't understand why people have taken him out this week. If anything, you should have taken him out next week. The only thing I can think of is that people are putting in Hazard for this week. So yeah, I can understand that, but I just think that, for example, in my team, I'm going to be keeping Salah this week. So Mkhitaryan, I think he's lost all the faith from Emery because Lacazette is starting every game for Arsenal now. So I understand why everyone's going to be taking him out. I will probably be taking my wild card the next week or the week after, and I think I will be taking Mkhitaryan out of my team because currently he is just not getting me any points. Mendy has an injury, so does Aguero on the game. I'm not sure if that's true or not. I know that Aguero is probably going to play, that's why I picked him as my captain this week. Mendy I'm not too sure about, but we'll wait and see. I will have Wan-Bissaka as a backup in case if he doesn't play, which got me 9 points last week, which is great. And the last one is Pedro. Not too sure why this is, because he has been playing well. Yes, his form is not great, but his overall points is pretty good, and he is cheap at 6.8 million for a midfielder, so not too sure why a lot of people are taking him out, but anyway, I'm sure they have their reasons. Alright, moving on to my player watch, and you're probably thinking, of all the players I could have selected, why have I chosen Giroud as my player watch for this week? And I'll let you know the reason. If we look at, for example, minutes played, he's only played 90 minutes this EPL season, and yes, he scored no goals, but if we look at assists, for example, he's joint top with Wilson in terms of assists, and you know, look at how many minutes played Wilson has compared to Giroud, that shows a very good return. Also, if we look at attempted assists, he's only had 3 attempted assists, so that means that he's got 2 assists in his 3 attempts of getting assists, so that's a very good return in terms of that. And you know, like, yes, Saha and Mitrovic have good assist attempts as well, but they haven't actually got any assists. So clearly, you know, Giroud has that quality around him in his team. So lastly, big chances created. He's got 2 in 90 minutes, which is very good considering Wilson 3 in 449 minutes. And bonus points as well. Like, he's got 2 bonus points, and Saha has got 2 bonus points, Mitrovic 3 and Wilson 1. So in 90 minutes, he's nearly got as many bonus points as Mitrovic has got in 450 minutes of gameplay. So I think that Giroud, yes, he's not going to get you many goals, and yes, he's always going to be a doubt for starting, but he's always an impact player when he comes on for Chelsea, and I think that as a kind of cheaper option striker, he could have a lot of, could get you a lot of points. Just especially, like, he always seems to be in the right place at the right time. He's always good for making an impact. He is an impact sub. So the reason for all of this, I'm going to make him a player watch for this week. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how he does this week. I think he'll get more playing time because it is a kind of lesser team that they're playing in West Ham. So it'll be interesting to see how he gets on this week. Alright, so now going on to my EPL Round 6 predictions, and it is currently on screen what I think the games are going to be in terms of their results. So I've got the first game of the weekend as a draw. I've then got Bournemouth to beat Burnley, Man City to beat Cardiff, and then I've got Crystal Palace, Leicester, Liverpool and Man United all to win at home, and then I've got Spurs to win away against Brighton. And on Sunday's fixtures, I currently have West Ham to lose to Chelsea and Arsenal to win at home. And if we look at my betting tip for the weekend, I have got the Leicester game over 1.5 goals. They've got the Aston Villa game over 2.5 goals. Now that is a championship game, so be aware of that. I've got Liverpool, both teams to score no. Man City over 8 corners, Liverpool over 8 corners, and that gets you 6.57 to 1, which means that £5 will return you £37.88, which is on Bet365 on the as of today. But please note that this is just my opinion and is not guaranteed to win, so only bet what you can afford, and I wish you the best of luck for any bets that you do decide to do this weekend. And obviously, as always, please enjoy all of the football. I hope that you do well, and I hope that your team wins. Obviously, as you know, I'm an Arsenal fan, so I will be hoping for a good home victory against Everton this weekend. So thanks for watching up to now. I hope you enjoyed this content. If you did, if you could help the channel by giving me a massive thumbs up, I'd be really grateful for that. If you are a first-time viewer of FPL First, then why not considering watching one of the videos in the link below? See if you like the content. If you do, then think about maybe subscribing for future content, which I upload on a weekly basis. And obviously, click the alerts button to know when my videos are dropping, as nowadays sometimes just being a subscriber is not enough on YouTube. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the content up to now, and obviously, like I just said, please enjoy, have a lovely weekend. I live in actually South Korea, and it's one of the biggest national holidays next week, so I have got a 5-day holiday, which is going to be lovely, so I will be uploading a load of videos in the meantime. Anyway, my name is Joe, and this has been FPL First.